Hey guys, and welcome back to Mika Reacts Reviews. We're reacting to things on the internet. Same day, same shirt, a different video. And today we're returning to Dr. Peterson. And there has been some drama on the Twitter sphere caused by Klein, which is the host of H3 something podcast. I very rarely watch him or his podcast, but he recently said that he deleted a couple of his interviews he did with Dr. Peterson because Dr. Peterson is dangerous and he is a gateway to the alt-right. So we are going to watch a clip of that interview he did with Dr. Peterson and judge for herself if it's a dangerous video that is going to cause millions of people to become alt-right. Anyway, this was uploaded 4 years ago and it has 3.4 million views and 74,000 likes. So we're going to right into it, but before you do, if you like these type of videos, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel even further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. And another great way to support this channel is you can either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop. Other than that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Alright, here we go. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, the title of this video is Why People Are So Unhappy. Ethan. Alright, let's continue.
So, this is something that I think generally people don't think about, stuff like this. And my next question for you is, it seems that more and more in today's society and just the societies in the world today, people are more depressed, more anxious, more suicidal than ever before. Is that a symptom of something unusual going on in our society? Is it just people that are more comfortable talking about it now? What is it? Why are so many people depressed?
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think at least part of it is the complexity of our society. It isn't certain how the future is going to lay itself out, and it isn't certain that what you knew in the past is going to be sufficient for you to move forward into the future. So there's lots of opportunity, but it's very complex. And it's not easy to keep up in our world. You know, like if you look around the world, you might think, well, the happiest people are those where the standard of living is the highest. That's actually not the case.
Right.
And you think, okay, but why wouldn't that be the case? It's like, what do you want? Malaria and death at 40? Obviously not. But then you think, okay, what's the price you pay for a high standard of living? Well, that's easy. You virtually always sacrifice the present for the future. You're always working. I mean, you guys, you're fairly influential and you've got this good thing going, but like, it could crash at a moment's notice. You better keep your eye on it. And every day you're thinking, okay, this has to be done, and this has to be done, and this has to be done. And it pays off. I mean, you have a nice studio and I would presume a reasonably comfortable life, but it's not like you're not running on a treadmill to keep that going. And so that's security and it's health, but it isn't necessarily happiness, and it's certainly not necessarily freedom from anxiety. Sure. And I would say most people in the modern world, weirdly enough, have far too much to do. You know, 2 career families and a couple of kids. It's like, man, you're done. That's 60 hours a week of flat out work. Yep. So, and that can be too much.
Stopping it there. Okay, so far it doesn't sound too radical, but tell me what you think in the comment section below. That is very true. That is very true. Like, I am not an American basher. Like, I love the fact that I'm from America. I am privileged to be an American, and I am privileged to have been born and raised in America. But I left for a reason, and it's not to say that there's no parts of America that I couldn't find my happiness in, but America is one of the greatest countries for certain reasons, for the privileges and for the rights and the safety you have of being a woman, being a person of color, like freedom of speech. Certain freedoms that we have that other countries don't have. I believe America is the only place that has civil rights laws. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of other countries that you can literally discriminate if you please to, if you want to. We have the Constitution, which basically helps shoot down some of those mandates that we were fighting in America, and that wouldn't be a case if we didn't have a Constitution. The people that I talk to in other countries who are flabbergasted that people can go on national television in America and say fuck the president. We have those rights, and we have medical technologies and advancements and Silicon Valley and all these things, all these innovations, right? We have all these modern technologies, right? However, it is not the happiest place in the world. It's not even close to being one of the happiest places in the world. The mental health is skyrocketing, not just in America, but in the West in general. America takes up almost over 80% of pharmaceuticals and psychotropic pharmaceuticals, like antidepressants and stuff like that. Over 80% in America is about 5% of the planet. That has to tell you something, okay? And so sometimes when I post videos of my travels, you'll get a couple of derogatory remarks like, oh, you're in this shithole, like a developing country. But people here are happy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying there's no issues and there's no discrimination and the government probably should help a little bit more often, but they have community. You know what I mean? You go to some of these places that I don't necessarily live, but you see some of these like villages on the side of the road or whatever like that, and people are smiling. It's like people in America seem so mad and angry all the time. And I know that's an exaggeration, but it feels like that. If you talk to a lot of people who live abroad, they have a very common statement they make about America. They don't like calling home and they don't like visiting because it feels very negative. So yeah, you have all these things at your fingertips, but you're not happy. So do you want to be unhappy having the latest gadgets? Or will you be happy living in some land somewhere, growing your own food? I don't know. I choose to live in land and I don't grow my own food, but I live next to farms. Farm right outside my window. It's the typical rat race sort of mentality. It's a typical more money, more problems sort of mentality. And I love how Dr. Jordan Peterson pauses a lot. He does this a lot when he talks. He pauses and he makes sure what he's saying is something appropriate and can't be taken out of context. This is the right thing to say. He's very thoughtful with his words, and I love that about Dr. Jordan Peterson. Anyway, let's continue. You didn't come here to hear me speak, probably telling me to shut the fuck up and stop rambling. Here we go, right now.
And then I also think, because our society is philosophically unstable, and that's sort of reflected in this polarization, is that people are doubtful about whether their lives have any meaning, for example. You know, well, why bother? What's the use of it? Who cares? It's like, what difference is it going to make in a million years, you know? And life is hard, and if you just have a nihilistic viewpoint, then it's easy to be swamped by doubts and existential angst and all of that. And like, I think that's a mistake, because I think that your life can be very meaningful. It's proportionate to the responsibility that you take on. And you can learn that by watching when you're engaged in the world, you know, and what works to sort of protect you from feelings of isolation and doom. You know, and a lot of the lectures I have on YouTube are about exactly that. So I think part of it is the complexity of the modern world.
Yeah.
I also can't shake the sneaking suspicion that it has something to do with our diet.
Really?
Well, you know, I saw this. We know that obesity is like skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and probably the reason for that, it's not exactly certain. There might be complicated reasons for it, but certainly one of the reasons is that people eat far too many carbohydrates.
Right.
You know, I saw this video from World War II about and in one of the scenes they showed all these men in New York lining up to be inducted, and it's like, you know, 20 blocks of guys with no shirts on standing in line to be inducted. Every single one of them was bone thin.
Do you think
one.
it's the insecurity and the negative feelings that come with being overweight, or the actual food?
No. I think there's something wrong with what we're eating.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's more and more evidence that dietary sensitivity, for example, is linked to conditions like schizophrenia.
Really?
And so, yes.
Watch out for that bread, y'all.
Well, and also, your gut bacteria, turns out, which you have a lot of, you have about 100 times more bacterial cells in your body than human cells, which is really quite a freaky thing to think about. Luckily, they're quite tiny, because otherwise you'd be like a giant amoeba, you know. But the gut biome produces a lot of neurochemicals. And so it does play an integral role in the regulation of your mood, which is also a very strange thing.
I've been following that, just the...
Stopping it there. Yeah, it's becoming more and more common that people are talking about this. I think they even call like your stomach your second brain, but talking about how much your gut, the balance of your gut bacteria affects your mind, your mood, your whatever, your mood swings or your ability to deal with your emotions and your mood swings and stuff like that. I talked about it a couple of times on this channel that I used to deal with a really severe depression, and one of the ways I got out of it was changing my diet. I found out that I'm reactive hypoglycemia or hypoglycemic, and that can actually that mimics diabetes, but it also mimics depressive symptoms. You get extremely fatigued, which can trigger depression. You get really irritated, irrational. You get really moody, or mood swings. You get very like cloudy mind. You get anxiety. So a lot of it can actually mimic other mental health issues or trigger some mental health issues or underlying mental health issues you already have. Yes, changing your diet isn't a cure to everything. Some people make it seem like it's the cure to everything and the end all to be all, but it definitely helps. You know what I mean? And people do emotionally eat, but one of the reasons why you might be emotionally eat because you already have an imbalance and you're not able to actually handle your emotional reactions well because there's already an imbalance going on, and so it's just like a cycle. And if you get that balance a healthy gut balance, a healthy diet, that maybe that cycle would end because you'll be able to deal with your emotions or your emotional reactions better. I'm really glad he's talking about this because not a lot of people talk about this, how important your diet is. The food in the West is shit. A lot of food in America is shit. It's the chemicals, it's the soil, it's the seeds. A lot of it is crap. There's things that they put in our food in America anyway, chemicals, the way they produce the food is illegal in other countries or deemed inconsumable by humans that they use in the process of making food in America. It's just stripped of nutrition. And one of the positive things, again, I'm not saying it's perfect here, but one of the positive things about living in more like smaller rural areas is that you're usually closer to farmland. And so the food, the vegetables, and the produce that you're getting are usually not coming very far, which is better for the planet, but also like you have less chances of it being stuffed with chemicals, it being some sort of genetic mutation of some sort of fruit or vegetable or whatever. I really like that he talked about that, but let's continue.
How bacteria is starting to play more in human health, like probiotics and stuff like this can regulate your mood. That's so freaky.
Yeah, it is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and one possibility is that, well, let's say you eat a lot of carbohydrates and sugar. Okay, so what happens is that you grow bacteria in your gut that really like carbohydrates and sugar.
Right.
Well, so then you think, well, I'm always having cravings for carbohydrates and sugar. It's like, you're having the cravings, you think. Well, maybe not. Maybe what's happened is that, through a Darwinian process, you've encouraged the growth of bacteria that really like sugar and carbohydrates.
And you think that same bacteria is messing with people's mood? Maybe.
Yes, and it's also messing with their cravings.
That's.
I mean, we're really walking oceans, like we're big creatures.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not big compared to a Douglas fir or the sun, but we're pretty big creatures, and we are liquid. Most of us is liquid, and if you saturate yourself with carbohydrates and sugar, then you are invaded by the bacteria that live on those things, and so that's not necessarily so good for you.
Yes, bacteria eats sugar, and sugar is highly addictive, and most simple carbs, which is white carbs, turn into sugar when you digest it in your stomach. So your carbs are just transferring to sugar when you're eating it. I'm actually intermediate dieting right now, because I'm trying to take back control, and try to balance out my glucose levels so I don't have to deal with this blood sugar issue that I've been dealing with for a while now. So that's why I'm trying to intermittent fast to see if that actually helps do it naturally. I don't ever want to get on any long-term medication, so I'm trying to control it with my diet, which has been helping a lot. I'm not saying that's for everyone else, I'm not a doctor. And I liked how in the beginning when he talked about life is really uncertain right now, and this was 4 years ago. Think about right now how it is for people. People don't know if next month they'll be locked down, or next 2 months from after that if they'll lose their job because of whatever decision they don't want to make or want to make. So it's gonna be really scary for people right now, especially people with kids and families. I think one of the other reasons why it seems to me and other people who have left the West or America, it seems like people are so negative yeah, things are bad, but I also think people tend to focus on the negative, and I also think a lot of people in the West are really ungrateful. And I think gratitude is the foundation of happiness or joy or peace of mind. Because if you look around you and you take an assessment of your life or the world around your society, your community, and all you do is pay attention to the negative and focus on the negative, how do you expect to ever be a positive or happy, sensible person? Because the only thing you're magnified on is everything that's bad, which is never true in most situations. If all situations, you can always find something in your life to be grateful for. And yeah, you can be happy in almost any situation if you have the right mentality, but I think once you have a balanced mentality, you probably remove yourself from toxic situations, situations that's not healthy for you. And I'm not trying to romanticize poverty, but it does seem when people sometimes have less or is content with what they have, they just seem happier. Or if they have to really work for it, because a lot of people who live in more rural, small areas, they have to do a lot of manual stuff. They wash their hand by clothes, and everything's just not automatic for them. And so I feel like sometimes when you really have to put your body into something and really work for what you want, you're more grateful for what you have. Real quick, and I'm almost done. There's a TED Talk that you guys should watch. I don't know the name of it, but it's done by this Thai guy who lived in Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 4 years, and he lived in a rural farm, Thailand. Thailand's amazing, by the way. And he said he had a really happy childhood. And he said what happened to shift his mentality was everybody started getting televisions. And when he started getting televisions, someone on TV told him he was poor. And then that person that told him he was poor told him that poor was bad. He decided as he grew up into adolescence, into a young adult, that he didn't want to be poor because poor is bad. So he moved into Bangkok, and he started going to university. He crammed himself in a tiny apartment with a bunch of other young men, and he was starved for the idea of money. I have to make as much money as I can because I don't want to be poor. Poor is bad. And so he slaved away and worked all hours of the night. And he said that he got into very materialistic possessions, and he spent like a 2-week check or something on a pair of jeans. And he bought these pair of jeans and he put them on. He felt really proud of himself because he accomplished what he wanted to. But he said, I can't believe I just slaved away for 2 weeks just to have an article of clothing. And he said that to him, that felt like a mental health crisis. Like, what am I doing? He immediately stopped what he was doing. He went back to his rural farm town, and he said he is happier than he ever was, trying to chase after this idea of what happiness is supposed to be. And now he has a few different houses. He farms half the year and he relaxes the other half the year, and he spends time with his family and his friends. And he said his friends who stayed in university, they have one house with a 30-year mortgage, and he has 3 houses that's paid off because he built it himself on his family's land. And so to him, he says that's the way he sees it. He says 30 years extra to do what he wants. And then I'm not like anti people trying to climb the corporate ladder. I'm not anti people wanting to be really rich. I'm not anti the people who want luxury things and material possessions. I just think a lot of people don't realize that that's not going to make them happy, and they haven't stopped for a second to ask themselves, would this make me happy? Am I actually chasing after something I want, or would something else make me happy? I think a lot of people don't ever take the time to really figure out what it is that they actually want. They're just sort of going with it, going with the momentum of life. Anyway, guys, that's it. I don't care if you care what I have to say at all. Oh, by the way, that video didn't seem radical or dangerous whatsoever to me, and it's probably one of the best interviews he's ever done in his life, Ethan Klein, and probably will never ever get the opportunity to do so again. Sad. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to get your notifications when I do upload. All that really does help with the algorithm, guys. If you'd like to support the channel any further, you can donate. My PayPal me link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. And another great way to support the channel is you can either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop. Great statement tees and mugs to show the world what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and the type of music you're into. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle, or I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go to the description box below and also in the comment section. Hit the link, go subscribe to my travel vlog channel, and or follow my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. And you guys have an amazing day.